What is up, guys? Welcome back to the second week of the 0 to 20K a month challenge. Currently, we have an update. This week so far, you have taken 2 trades. There was 1 win and there was 1 loss. And regardless of what happened, we are going to learn from it. We're currently going to look back, reflect, journal, improve. As always, we can see so far this week, you did follow all your rules. You were locking yourself out at 1 trade. He did send me it every single night, like I asked, and took 1 win for 800 per account. And then we took a loss today, but still net positive on the week. So this right here is the first trade that you ended up taking and the kind of reflection that you had, the reasoning behind this trade.
So whenever market first opened, we just started displacing, like we started dumping, and I didn't really find an entry to anything below, so I just waited, was patient, and then we started displaying up, and I'm pretty sure we had an hourly high.
Yeah, there was an hourly high up there.
So I was targeting an hourly high. So after these 2 big candles, that kind of confirms my bias. Like, all right, we're probably gonna take this out. We keep displacing up, then we have a small retrace into this gap. Basically, after we got some confirmation out of like this, especially like this rejection right here.
Yeah.
I entered on this blue candle up, or this bullish candle up. Stops were, at this low. My stop was at this low right here, and I was targeting the hourly high. And this was a very similar trade to the one I took last Wednesday.
Yeah,
except
so if we look at the journal.
Super similar trade. I mean, price action even looks very similar.
Yep.
Except for this trade,
what did you do?
I was trailing my stop really, really tight because I guess I was emotional and nervous about, I'm trading on 5 accounts, let me just secure some profits, which is not right. Like, that is not following my trading plan.
And then what did you write on your reflection at the bottom?
So instead of bidding on my confidence and going break even and walking away and letting price either hit my break even or take profit, I started trailing emotionally because it was the first time I was trading on 5 accounts. So on Tuesday morning, I read through all of my journals just to get it fresh into my mind. And as soon as I was about to take this trade, it kind of jogged my memory. Wait, last time I had a entry very similar to this. I started trailing early. And if I did that, I probably would have gotten wicked out right here.
Yep.
So on this down candle, which is literally not even that much. It's literally a candle of
20 points.
20 points, but obviously we're trading with a lot of volume right now.
Yeah.
And I would have gotten stopped out right here. Instead, I learned from my mistake. I took accountability, and I just let either price hit my break even or take profit, which is what happened.
And you were scrolling on TikTok?
And I was scrolling on TikTok, not even, like I was focusing on my trade, but not really.
Yeah.
Like not too much where I got emotional about it.
Yeah. So essentially this trade right here, it did hit the full TP. It did close. You got locked out at your 1 trade and then you stepped away. This is again why it is so crucial to journal, because a trade that he journaled last week, literally a similar opportunity setup appeared this week. And if he didn't journal that, if he didn't reflect, if he just, took his 400 per account and said like, I caught a good win still, maybe again this week you would have trailed again emotionally. And now it's 2 weeks in a row that you set yourself back. And actually, if you did that, you would have been break even on this week rather than up, right? So that is why it is so important to hold yourself accountable, to journal, to reflect back on your mistakes, because when they pop up again, right after you read your journal talking about your mistake, you'd be crazy to take the same trade and do the same emotional management. It wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't be backed by data, right? It would be backed by emotions, but not data and logic. Right? So that's kind of the whole point. But the rest of the week, until Friday, you did not get any trades. So we're going to kind of reflect back on those days, why you didn't take any trades, if it was the right decision or not. So going back on Wednesday, that was the 2nd day of the week.
I don't know if you can see, but price was slowly displacing down. We were making lower lows and lower highs. And ES, on the other hand, we were super bullish. Like, we had already taken out another hourly high that NQ hadn't, and basically the indexes weren't correlated. So I could have, I wanted to take this trade, but I had remembered maybe a month ago, I didn't journal it, but I still remember the last time I took a trade when the indexes weren't correlated, I lost. And today I stay out of the trade just because, from last time I remembered it didn't go well. I lost. And it saved me a loss.
And that's what you ended up journaling that day, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
right. So if we look today, I wanted to take a short. ES was extremely bullish and was moving up. So because the assets weren't correlated, I stayed out and avoided a loss. So good reflection on that day, thinking back to a loss that you've previously taken and trading in essentially improbable conditions where you therefore avoided another loss. One thing I also wanted to talk about is on Wednesday when you were looking for that short. Another reason I'm really not a fan of that short, and I'm really glad you did end up not taking it, is because the whole time overnight, like what are we essentially doing? Moving bullish. When we retrace right here, this is where you did want to short. You can see we're still in these gaps, and you can see where the candle ends up actually closing, which is right there. So honestly, with you not wanting to wait for that hourly close in order to short, which was to this 4-hour gap low right here, since you didn't wait for the close, this is another reason why I think you should just always wait for your candle closes. And they do tell you a lot. Look what this hourly candle close tells you. We reject this gap. We reject and hold this gap. And then next candle does end up taking the highs. So like if that makes sense
Yeah,
for that.
Makes sense. I think I was just disregarding the hourly time frame because whenever market first opened on that day, we were super close to the hourly draw.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if we do displace towards it, we're just gonna take out the high.
Yeah.
So I was just waiting to see if we could get a trade into the 4-hour gap, which we didn't because I mean, you know,
We were still bullish.
we were still bullish.
And we had to take out that, you know, external high up there before we could sell off. So, you know, we did end up sweeping out that high and then we actually did sell off to your target. But again, we didn't have enough energy and we're not going to have enough energy until we, you know, sweep out these highs and tap a gap, you know, for us to react, right? So again, like the best way to put it, it's more of you trying to predict rather than reacting, right? You're trying to predict what the hourly close is going to tell you before you wait for us to actually, you know, start selling off. And now you can, you know, look for your entries lower. But you didn't end up executing on that, so that's good. But it's still good to, you know, have a reflection. All right, so this is the loss that you ended up taking today. And if you can kind of explain the logic behind the trade before we go into why it was, you know, incorrect management and what could have been done better.
Okay, so as soon as market opened, I looked on the hourly time frame and we had just tapped an hourly gap. So I was like, okay, cool. Now I can get an entry to the 4-hour gap, which is what I wanted. So we start displacing up and it's not really too convincing now that I look at it, but I entered off of this retrace, which is literally just 1 minute down candle.
Yeah.
And I caught an entry right here. My stops, now that I look at it, it's at this wick. So my stop isn't protected now that I look at it. I mean, I literally have liquidity just holding me back.
Yeah.
And no true retracement yet. So as soon as this candle closed, which closed above the internal high, and a mistake that I made today was not going break even as soon as we took out this internal high. Because if I did, you know, it would have just been a break even day.
Yeah.
My trade limit is 1, so no more trades, but it still would have been better than a loss.
Yeah.
And after this flip down and this immediate
buyback.
Now it's a lot more obvious where we want to go.
So that's the trade I actually ended up taking. And another thing too is the fact that we were arranging before market open. So we ended up kind of stacking up this liquidity, pushing down, sweeping out these lows, and then buying up very aggressively. That's the long I ended up taking. But even with the entry you took, it still could have been very easily mitigated. Is it as high probability as an entry? In my opinion, no. But if you did take that entry, could it still have been mitigated this loss? Yes, it could have, due to you, you know, trailing to break even. Because again, we did take this internal high, which is where you would go break even. For example, right here, when I took this trade, I went break even at these highs right here, these internal highs, right? Because that is something we should not reject if we truly are bullish. And as you can see, this time we did end up running to the target. So again, breaking it down, your idea was right. The draw was right. You are correct in that state. You just jumped the gun a little bit early on the entry, and then management-wise, you didn't go break even. Now, were you thinking about going break even during your trade, and then you decided not to, or did you just not really think about it?
So I was thinking about going break even, but again, I entered on the candle that literally took out the internal high, so it did happen. It did happen pretty fast, but I just wasn't managing my trade very well. It was my bad.
So that is what we are going to write in the journal entry for Friday. And you're actually putting the entry that you could have taken, the second trade, but I do want you to put it in your own words, not my thinking. I want you to see it and make the conclusion for yourself. Therefore, you know, when you see the trade again, it's like, okay, I'm confident in this trade, not, hey, I'm confident because Cole told me this was a good trade. Because that's obviously not how you develop your own confidence. And that's also another thing I want to talk about. The goal here is for you to be a self-sufficient trader, which is what you are doing. All the trades you took this week are trades you took by yourself with your own thinking. And that's the whole goal during this journey, is to develop the skill yourself and improve your thinking. That's why like there's no bias, there's no like, okay, good or bad trade. There's just a trade that could be improved based off of, you know, logic and reflection and data, right? So that's kind of the goal with this whole journey. So we're doing that reflection right here. All right, so if we look at this, we have the journal entries for the whole week, even the days we do not trade, which is something that it is important to do. And all of these reflections are in depth. These are long paragraphs, right? Right here, you know, long paragraphs means you are actually reflecting and you are thinking back to what you did. So going into next week, what you're gonna be able to do, just like you did this week, you can look at these reflections before market open, right? And therefore save some extra losses, get some more conviction for a trade.
And won't make the same mistakes twice.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about is going into this week, how are you feeling emotionally? And now that this week has played out, how are you feeling emotionally about your trades? You know, what's your outlook? What's your mindset? Are you feeling bad? Are you feeling good? Like, run me through that.
So going into the week, I was feeling pretty good. You know, even though I took that loss on Friday, I was still looking forward to enjoying my weekend and then improving 1% every single day on my actual trading this week. And I think I did do that. I believe I did improve actually. Even though I did take a loss on Friday, which could have been avoided, I feel good because I journaled it down. I'm gonna remember this trade now that I actually have like a picture of it in, you know, a paragraph saying what I did, what I could have done better, and how I can improve for next week. And I feel good. Like I'm gonna enjoy my weekend, not even think about trading too much.
We're actually gonna go mountain biking on Sunday, so that's gonna be fire. Maybe we'll add this into a video, cool. We'll see. But what I want to talk about is like, this is why it is so important to actually reflect, because I know there's been weeks where, you know, maybe you do take a loss on a Friday and you are frustrated.
Yeah.
Where it does ruin your weekend. Like, I'm guessing that has happened, correct?
Yeah, it has happened before actually.
So this way, you told me, you literally texted me and you said, after I took this loss, I actually didn't even feel like trading after.
So after I took the loss, and even though I have the one trade limit a day, I didn't feel the urge to revenge trade or, you know, catch the long afterwards. I just turned off my computer and went about my day.
Yeah, and as this week has played out, like, you know, are you feeling, you know, any emotion to rush? Are you feeling like you are in a hurry? Because I can tell you are not feeling like that. The fact that you only took 2 trades for the week, that you are not feeling like that. But I don't know, maybe you have a different insight.
No, you're right. Like I don't feel a rush to get a payout or, you know, make a certain amount of money for a month, because I know deep inside I used to do that a couple of months ago, and that didn't work out for me. You know, I would force stupid trades. I wouldn't journal and learn from my mistakes, and I'd just be stuck. And now that I'm taking accountability for my mistakes and improving and reflecting, I feel good. I'm just being patient now.
Again, it's only a matter of time. That's why we put no time frames on this journey, because you can't speed up the process. You can't speed up the trades. This is something we have to go through. I'm sure there's going to be, you know, more losses, more trades that can be avoided that ultimately we are going to learn from. But that's the goal. As time goes on, as you get more journal entries, as you get more reflections, you're doing what? Improving slightly better every single day.
Just 1% better every day is all it takes.
That's the best way. That's the best way to look at it. So, you know, we'll see. Maybe we'll include that little mountain biking segment if I don't fall and crack my head open. So I'm currently editing this video, but unfortunately we were not able to go mountain biking just because it did rain yesterday. So all of the trails were closed, meaning we're just gonna have to save that for, you know, another episode. Now, I know this one was a little bit shorter than the other one, but again, it was a bit calmer of a week. And, you know, we're going to keep on doing these episodes until we achieve the goal. It doesn't really matter how long it takes. I just want to, you know, fully document the process, inspire some of you guys. And if you're enjoying the content, you know, make sure to let me know so I can keep it up. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.